Hey there, Aquarius. It's great to see you. Welcome to your October reading. I can't believe that we're actually just a few days away from October, so this is super timely. As you know, this reading actually will help you through the next 6 to 8 weeks, so it'll take you even into the next month, and it really helps you navigate all of the opportunities, some of the challenges, some of the high points, and all the twists and turns in between. Just so you know what the format looks like, here's how I organize each and every monthly reading. I like to begin with channeled messages. And last night I had a lot of different images that were coming through in dreams, and then a couple this morning as I was meditating. So you actually have a triple totem today, which we'll talk about in a couple of moments. After we get through those channeled messages, then we'll get into the Celtic Cross. And the Celtic Cross, I really allow it to take whatever shape it needs to. We always highlight health, wealth, love, and destiny at that point, and then we'll get into the rest of the format after that. Before I do anything today, if you are enjoying what you're seeing here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you've been a long time viewer and you've never done that, it's actually very important over the next couple of weeks because I'll be doing live premieres just due to some internet issues here. Till I get those worked out, you want to make sure that you don't miss any of those premieres. So in addition, you can hit the bell icon as well if you haven't done that before. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I always put out a reminder the day of a premiere or a live, so you won't miss something if you follow me there as well. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, except for Twitter, which is Ashbaugh. And a quick sort of note, just to kind of know who's who, just remember that I never send direct messages and I don't offer private readings. So if there are any imposters out there that are trying to do that, please block and report them and also let me know. This is just to keep everybody safe. If you'd like to show some love and support, it's optional, but it does help. You can always use Super Chat and Super Stickers. You can also gift memberships if you'd like to do that in a live or a premiere as well. And that's everything, my friends. Let's get into your reading today. As I said, I want to talk about the channeled messages today. And it was a triplicate message. Let me pull up the presentation and we'll delve into it. I think all of these are exciting and appropriate for Aquarius. A lot about movement and time, which is interesting, which I know all of us get impatient from time to time, so it feels like things are starting to pick up and move a little faster. All right, so here are your three animal totems that we'll be talking about today. The raven, which is going to guide us through energies of communication and also intuition. The rabbit, which is a symbol of abundance and speed. And the whale, which is about making a splash or making a change, both of which are important. So let's get into the raven first. All right, so across many mythologies and folklore, ravens represent death, rebirth, and also psychic awakening. We'll talk in a moment here about their connection in Norse mythology to Odin. Odin's been coming up a lot in the last couple of days in readings. Here's what they are really basically saying whenever I see them in a totem. It's basically pay attention. Think about when you're walking the dog or you're just walking outside and a raven or a crow is overhead and it's cawing or squawking at you. You have to pay attention. You usually look up because they have a really loud presence. Their voice is heard. And when we talk about the whale later, this is actually tying into that. This month, even if people may have historically said, quiet down or don't speak up or why can't you just sort of like keep the peace? One of your pivotal roles and one of the best things that you can offer is your ability to question authority, your ability to offer constructive criticism and feedback that really has value to it. Don't let anybody out there mute your voice. I talked about this when I was a kid. There were teachers that tried to kind of quiet me down or they didn't want me to laugh. And, God bless my parents, my dad especially, he said at the time, I'm not going to take away his voice. I'm not going to take away his character. And my mom as well. She's like, you have a problem with him laughing and being happy? That doesn't make any sense. So thank goodness for them because I'm able to speak with confidence today. I still had some challenges as a kid because of some of those teachers, but the minute we moved, that went away. So if anyone in your life, whether it was a teacher, society, a friend, maybe your parents, they didn't support your voice, I'm here today to say, speak up, use that, it's powerful, and the raven came through today to say, it's all right to be who you are, it's all right to say what you need to say. Also, your guides are speaking to you. And unlike the crow, it might be a little bit more subtle. Sometimes we want to hear that loud sound in our head so that we know what to do. But typically, guides come through with a subtle thought. It's kind of like that idea, like, I should call this person, or I better reach out to this person and take care of that because I promised to do it. Whatever that persistent thought is today, that's what you really want to pay attention to. It's your own higher self and your guides working through subtle intuition. And if you can see something from a new perspective today, and that makes you want to make a change, or it excites you, or it maybe even makes you curious about something, that's also intuition. It's helping you see something from a different angle, a bird's eye perspective, if you will. And in the case of a raven, that makes a lot of sense. So allow yourself to, also I'm thinking even of like the Game of Thrones, like seeing something through someone else's eyes. This is also encouraging you to be empathetic, to really sort of put yourself in someone else's shoes, and that's going to help you as well. I only see the raven as a positive symbol. Sometimes people may see it as something negative, but to me, it's a messenger from the other side. It's able to speak up, to be heard, and it's a strong symbol. So we're looking at the positive aspects of all of these totems today. Now, I did a little research here in Nordic mythology. I always like to look at the mythology of a totem. If it makes sense, I'll weave it into the discussion. So in Norse mythology, there were two ravens that traveled across Midgard, which was the world, and brought information back to Odin. The names represented two things: thought, or memory, or the mind. And so for many of us, we may be paying more attention to basically our thoughts, and Seven of Cups energy could be coming in. I featured the Three of Cups here, though, because it's kind of the gossip card. One of the gossip cards in tarot. The moon can also be kind of gossipy. But I love this one from the Wild Unknown, which is the deck that we'll be using today, because it shows these three little birds chatting away. And so your communication skills are enhanced. If we take the Three of Cups in the best possible light, it's word of mouth. So let's say you've done something really well, and basically through the sort of telephone chain at work, or basically the network, things are getting back to your boss, to the people that make decisions, and all of a sudden they tap you on the shoulder and they say, hey, we'd like you to try this out, or maybe you're in line for promotion or something like that. That's good word of mouth. Or if you're a business, positive feedback online, good ratings, this is going to help you generate new business. It's usually a very good card, and it's a very good symbol. So we like that aspect of the Three of Cups. It can also show gossip, though. And so in this case, you want to be careful. I put a note at the bottom here. It says, be mindful of who you trust and what you say. Assume that all of these messages are going to go all the way back to whoever or whatever you're talking about. So it's all going to be disseminated or broadcasted, or broadcast, I should say. And if this happens, you want to be able to stand behind what you said. So just assume it's all going to get out there, because you have this ability this month in particular to say things, have an impact, and have that basically stick around. And now in the day of the internet, everything's out there permanently. So we should basically really assume that communication, not only needs to be elevated, but it's going to be there for a while. Okay? But for you, if you're trying to make a splash or an impact, this is actually portending very good things. It's saying that your voice carries, right? Let's move on to the next symbol, which is the rabbit. And I tied this one to tarot. If I can find it in tarot, I'll talk about it there. If I can find it in mythology, I'll also talk about it there. So I immediately think of the Queen of Pentacles. I featured one of my favorite decks is actually the Radiant Rider-Waite. And this card actually highlights the rabbit a little bit better than the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So in the very corner, you'll see a little brown rabbit right by the foot of her throne, basically. And this is indicating rapid change, rapid development, and your ability to manifest things quicker than you might expect. So imagine now that you could move from point A to point B with fewer obstructions, with greater speed, and maybe just leave the sort of timing element out. I think I talked about this in either one of the monthlies or one of the more recent collectives, but time is not necessarily something that is measurable in a traditional sense, because if you move closer to a black hole, for instance, time shifts. It's basically, from a human perspective, it's our observation of changes, and we've basically assigned a value to that. But the minute you get off this planet, days are different on Mars, on Venus, on Jupiter, based on how quickly the planet rotates and also moves around the orbit of the sun. And so it's subjective. So why don't we just throw it out of the equation and think, I'm ready to receive this in the highest and fastest divine timing possible. And that's going to open you up to not focus so much on all these measurements. I should be doing this by this age at this time, and I need this much of this. It's all arbitrary. Throw it out and focus on doing the right thing for you, and assume that the synchronistic moment is going to kind of like appear. You are manifesting in real time, and it can happen faster if you allow it to happen faster. And then finally, our last totem that we're going to be looking at today is the whale. So I saw a big splash in my dreams, and then I saw the whale tail at the very end here. And the whale comes up a lot when I'm reading for Aquarius. Either this is an oracle deck that I use, Earth Magic Oracle, but in dreams I often see it too. And the interesting thing here is I love the idea of making a splash here. This is connecting with everything we just talked about with the whales. With the crows earlier, with the rabbits, also things moving quickly. So this is all connecting to it. So a big voice, quick movement, and now this ability to basically be the sort of, I would say, I'm getting in my head, be the glue that makes something stick, makes something work. You may also need to shake things up a little bit. It could be either end of the equation. Either your words and your motivation can bring people together, or if something isn't working, you might be that person that comes in and says, we have to look at this from another perspective. We have to shake things up. So don't be afraid to rock the boat. Don't be afraid to make a big splash. Know that that's actually part of your blessing or your gift or your purpose this month, Aquarius. And being that you are a powerful communication sign anyway, you're one of the 3 air signs, use that power in an amazing way this month, unapologetically, and embrace your message, your voice, and who you are. All right, let's move on to the next portion of the reading. If you just joined, perfect timing. Again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to take a look now at your Celtic Cross and expanded forecast and really help navigate this next 6 to 8 week period. All right, let's shuffle the cards and see what the universe has in store for Aquarius for the month of October. Haha, there we go with the 3 little birds. Divinely decreed. All right. Just zoom out a little bit so you can see this better. There we go. Couldn't ask for a better card to come through for your wealth, Lakshmi here. Okay, let's get everything set up here and we'll go into all of your cards for today. I have to say I really love the overall sort of energy that we see in this spread. We're going to begin with your Catalyst card. If you're new to my channel, the way that the Catalyst will work is basically this is one thing that can spark the energy or the movement in the right direction. And you have a really positive card here. It says Ally in Disguise. So for some of you, you may feel like you're alone or an outsider, or you might be afraid if you do something that you won't be supported. This is not the case here. First of all, you might need to do a little bit of research beforehand, and this could be a little bit of the Three of Cups energy that was smack dab in the center. So before a big change happens, you could have a small group meeting, you could chat with some people, you could basically tap into the energy of what's going on around you first and just sort of like take a temperature check and see, or a pulse check and see where people stand. Then you may realize, you know what, there's actually more grassroots support for this energy, for this effort, for this movement than I thought. I'm not alone. I can actually have some support behind me. This is an example of the Three of Cups being good. So, and this is also for those of you that are creatives. You're used to doing this. This would basically be soliciting some feedback from your peers. If you're a writer, you have beta readers read your book before you send it out for consideration, etc. So we always want to kind of like test out ideas first. As I said in the slides and the channeled messages, it's always important to make sure that you trust the people that you're talking to. But when it's about positive change and movement, this is a very good thing. So talk a little bit. Check out the team around you, the family around you, the community around you. There is an ally in disguise. Also, there could be someone that initially comes through with a critical comment. And initially, because it's always difficult to receive criticism, this could kind of make you react harshly. And what I would say is take a step back and think, were they actually trying to help you? Could there be something with this constructive feedback that could actually strengthen your overall approach? And that could also be one of the allies in disguise. So keep an open mind to all things that are coming through. Take a look at people, be very discerning, and again, you may be surprised that someone who you didn't expect might have your back or you might share a common interest here, even if it's someone that there would normally be a little sense of tension with or competition. This is a situation where you're going to find a common goal or interest, and that could be really, really good. To me, this card could also just illustrate the fact that if you do something different, if you really make a splash like we were talking about with that whale card earlier, then you could also win people over, new people that you hadn't expected that might be on your side now. So this is a card of change and transformation too. So you're not stuck in one group, in one way of thinking or being. This is really about you breaking through and breaking out and having this wider mass appeal, which is something that I was seeing time and again in the channeled messages. Let's get into the cards now in the Celtic Cross and garner some more information and insights. I have to say I love these two threes that are stacked on each other. So the Three of Cups is your center card, and then we have the Three of Pentacles on top of it. This actually strengthens this because the Three of Pentacles is recognition, and this is word of mouth, and this is good word of mouth and good recognition that then brings about more positivity, like positive reviews, and also the ability to learn from others. These are just really two cards that vibe off each other. So let's pull them into the main camera here and talk about them a little bit. We'll start with your center card, the Three of Cups. I featured it. It was the reason that I wanted to use this deck, so I had a feeling it might pop up here. Because of the Ravens, I was either going to do this deck or the Ravens Prophecy, but this card came to me, and I understand now why. Three of Cups. First of all, let's look at the traditional meaning of this. You could have a chance this month to meet somebody new. This is a card of celebration, and it's also a card of courtship. And so if you are, putting yourself out there again, this is very receptive energy. And it doesn't mean that you have to make a decision. In fact, this is a very open sort of card. So explore all of your options in work, in love, and also creatively. This is a very open card and one where there's supposed to be more than one person at the table. So if you're open, then I see a lot of people coming in and being interested in connecting with your energy. It really only portends good things in that respect. And because the card is upright, we're really going to look at the positive energy around this. So that's the first one, is that people are open and interested in spending more time with you. That can help you in business, in love, and across all aspects of your life. As I said in the channeled messages, your words and communications have an ability to basically reach a larger audience. And people are going to scrutinize and pay attention to what you say. So this is the words, and this is the scrutinizing, or the sort of like discerning energy. And it would be going back and saying, here's a great example in pop culture. It's sort of like when you look at Taylor Swift and she tweets something out that's archaic, then all the fans go crazy and they try to figure things out. That's a very great example here of what this is. This is looking at the small details and trying to understand it. So know that your words, not only, like I said, are going to have the ability to get out there, but people may try to read new levels into it. If you're creative, this is fun because, in music and in art, it's nice. And kind of like what we're doing here, interpretation is fun. But make sure that if something could be misconstrued, that you're super clear and that you can back things up, because there could also be the questions that come through. Well, did you do your research here? Are you sure about this? So there's power, but there's responsibility with these two cards. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to talk about with the Three of Cups. Someone may simply ask you, where do you stand? What do you want? Because you're going to have the ability in social spheres to just be more present, and people are going to be more curious about your history, what makes you tick. And again, you have the ability to share as little or as much as you want, understanding that that kind of information is going to stick around. All right, let's get into the card that's crossing it, which is one of my favorite in tarot, the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles can indicate that you're just on the precipice of finishing something pivotal that you care about, something that you've started, and it's going to really hit all of the marks that you'd hoped that it would. Again, making a splash. This card is all about making a splash. This is a card that also is associated with higher education, with learning, with publication, and also with the written word. So anything that you decide to put down on paper or put out there in the universe in print form or broadcasting, podcasting, even what I'm doing, this could also constitute Three of Pentacles, and it is very good here. Now, sometimes we look at the mountains on this card and we think, it's going to take so much work, or how am I going to reach a larger audience? The most important thing for you when you're trying to get out there energetically is just do the best. This is about quality, and then quality has a way of resonating and finding the right people. So don't worry, they're going to come down the mountain to find you if you do this correctly, okay? The mountain also indicates the ability to stand out from the crowd. And that's why this month in particular, Aquarius, I'm encouraging you to be bold, to have a little bit of flair, basically, and individuality, because just like a star card, that's going to make you shine, that's going to make people see you. But this time we see it's really about the quality of your work, also the sort of way that you communicate. It's going to just make a difference, and it's going to really set you apart. And I love that, okay? If anybody is thinking of going back to school, that's a return on energy, saying, yes, this is good. And the social aspect of wherever you work or learn or live is also really important. You need to be around people this month, and you're going to also be open to new opportunities as you connect with those people this month. All right, let's look at your deep past here. All right, in the deep past, this is one of the more unique Seven of Cups illustrations here. It kind of doesn't matter how you look at it, because there's always going to be a few cups upright and a few cups reversed. But with the Seven of Cups reversed, there is a very specific message that I would say, and that is that you're more discerning, you're making a decision, you're able to see things more clearly, and people want you to basically disambiguate, to sort of say, this is what I stand for. And actually, this is kind of unique when we look at this illustration. So in the upright position, we see most of the cards, most of the cups upright, we see one cup reversed. When we look at it this way, this one now stands out, and it says, I'm going to take this and I'm going to do something with it. Let's take a look at the traditional one, and it's going to help you understand what this is really representing. This is the card of dreamers. This is the card of research. It's also the card of asking questions, which is something that I talked about. So what can happen with the Seven of Cups is a stalemate, or sometimes this feeling of, I have information overload. What do I do? And what's powerful about this, when we see that single cup, it's going to say, one of these speaks to me more. I may not know everything about why I'm drawn to that, but my intuition, and we talked about this earlier, kind of comes through with that whisper, with that subtlety. My intuition says I'm going to take that cup, that idea, and I'm going to move forward with it. And that's going to get you out of this feeling of, uh-oh, what do I do? Because I'm overwhelmed. So your deep past message is, don't overthink. You already know intuitively what to do. Go down that path, and then once you've started to do the research on that, people also want to see some confidence. So what you could say is, I'm really passionate about this. I want to explore it and see what it has to offer. This is what I feel we should look at. That's all people really want, is an understanding that you have an opinion, you're doing some research, and you're going to handle this. Okay? Be decisive and don't worry too much about all of the possibilities of like what other people might be thinking or what someone else might be doing in comparison to you. You do what you do best, and that's going to be enough in this moment in time. All right, let's take a look now at recent past. We have the Nine of Wands here, and for many of you, it's a reminder that you are nearly done, and sometimes, again, it can feel overwhelming to complete something, but I see that this is going to be so worth it, especially when we looked at those two center cards, the Three of Pentacles and the Three of Cups. It's basically saying, job well done. This can sometimes indicate fatigue, right? And this feeling of, how can I do this? What I would flip it around for you to say is like, how can you not do this? You owe it to yourself to see it through to the final phase. It's absolutely worth your time and energy. And the one thing that you might want to do is, if you're feeling the sense of fatigue or exhaustion, take a day off if you have the ability to do that. Delegate a little bit if you can do that as well. Remembering that with wands, you can always do less, but do it better. And it actually helps you. So if you subtract a few from this, like even if you delegate a lot, you can get all the way down to the Six of Wands. Eight of Wands is still very productive. You can also pull some help in and finish it, the 10 of Wands. So it's basically just a decision of, I'm either going to do a little bit less and do it better, or I'm going to ask for some help, and this is going to help us get through to the finish line a little bit faster. No matter how you slice it, you're going to succeed. The one area that is often affected with the Nine of Wands, and I'll pull the traditional card while we're talking and you can take a look at it, but a lot of times it is headaches, migraines. The confusion that we were talking about with the Seven of Cups can also come through a little bit with the Nine of Wands. And basically what you want to do is take care of yourself. This is when you really do need to take a break, go walk away from the work that you're working on. If there's a challenging relationship dynamic that you need to get away from, that's okay. Because what you don't want to do is get territorial. You don't want to get aggravated. You don't want to get short. And the Nine of Wands can sometimes have all of those energies come through if you're not taking care of your mental health. And so whatever you need to do to clear your mind and take some of the load off, that's going to be really, really important. Okay? But if you can do that, this is the card of surviving and completing. So in this one, we see someone who's been through the ringer a couple times, but they know they can do it and they're not at all ready or willing to give up. There is persistence and stubbornness in that card. And this one shows me that you're right at that final step, and this is what you've been working for. So remind yourself, motivation. Why am I doing this again? Why are you doing what you're doing? And that is going to help you get back into your power and into your magic. All right, let's take a look at your crowning card here. We have the lovely Strength card coming through, and one of my favorite pieces of this particular illustration is the fact that we don't see the struggle between, normally there's a woman that's opening up the mouth of this beast here. What we see is just one symbol, just the strength. And we also see the rose that would normally be associated with either death or the Fool. So we could see this as a new beginning for you, this stronger version of yourself that's willing to come through. Nobody can put words in your mouth. You don't feel like you have to prove yourself. And if there is someone in your life that tries to force you in an old role, you have the strength and the power to simply stand your ground. Let me pull the traditional card here. I saw it wasn't too far from the top. Here we go. Here it is. Here's your traditional strength card. So if you look at how this is illustrated, you will see what I'm talking about. It can indicate trying to control someone's actions or words. It is a great card when you're facing someone or something that seems overwhelming, because it means you can do this. But what's cool about this is there's no need to sort of demonstrate it anymore. You just have that energy within you. So you don't have to go down the path of having an argument or having to get face to face. You're just going to step in with confidence and be yourself. And people have a way of reading energy. Just like you can read the room or read a person, they're going to read you and know, I can't do this. That you basically are not worth the fight or the battle because you're strong. And I really want you to embrace your strength this month when it comes to your energy, your ideas, and your ability to stand up for all of that and respect it. Because as we look at these two center cards, there's a lot of other people that are going to vibe off this as well. But you have to believe what you're putting out there. If you believe what you're putting out there, then that strength card comes through and it makes a lot of sense. Okay? Let me see if there's anything else that I want to talk about with this. Of course, there's always a suggestion here to pay attention to your body, to your general health. And if you've been working too hard, or if you've been doing something where you're basically just exhausted, the strength card comes through to remind you that what good is the success, the three of cups and three of pentacles, if your body, if your general health and your mental health isn't where it needs to be. So because this is in the crowning position of the spread, it's saying the most important thing this month is well-being, happiness, health. Because health is wealth. That's the interesting thing. A lot of times when I'm reading in the expanded forecast, there's overlap between those two. And it makes a lot of sense. When you're healthy, then you have a way of being more successful. And success does not equate wealth, but your health can help you be wealthier and happier and keep all of this more sustainable and more long-term. So really focus on being happy and healthy. That honestly is wealth in the big picture, right? Money, it can come and can go, but your body and your happiness, there's no price that you can put on that. Okay, let's move on to near future. There are a few cards here that are showing some challenge. This is one of them. The ones over here, they're not too bad. This one I want to talk about though. So we have the Nine of Swords. It's a little hard to understand it from this illustration, so I'll pull the traditional one up as we're talking too. But the Nine of Swords is in reverse. This one's a little gnarly to look at because you can see, the eyeballs and the bones and the worms and all of that. Basically, this would be the card of fear and nightmares. And with it in reverse, it's saying you're not going to succumb to these sort of thoughts of failure, of again, being afraid of doing something because of a perceived outcome. So the one thing that I would say right now, it's really important for you to face your fears. What I typically do when I am afraid or uncertain about something is I move into the energy of education. The more you know about something, the less you fear it, the more you know how other people have dealt with it. All of these things have a way, here we go, of really making you feel empowered, okay? Here's your traditional Nine of Swords. I think it's a little easier to understand this. So with this, there's often this feeling of, oh my gosh, what happens if this happens? Or you're beating yourself up for something that you've done in the past. And so I would say with this, forgive yourself for anything that you've done. It is context. It is building up the person that you are today. And a lot of times when we make a mistake, we are kinder, more empathetic, stronger in the long run. This also has to do with sleep quality and sleep quantity. I need a certain amount of sleep before I can do what I do here. So a lot of times, like before your reading, I needed to take a nap and recharge so that I could be my best possible self. And for me, that's always the most important thing, is to, first of all, make sure that I'm happy and healthy, and then also make sure that the messages and the energy is clear. And I will do what I need to do to make sure that that is there. That strength card that we talked about earlier, I practice what I preach with that. So to be a clear channel, I need sleep. for you to be happy this month, for you to be successful, for you to accomplish what we see here in the center here. First of all, we see again, good word of mouth, good quality of thinking, and the ability to see something through. But your body needs to be where it needs to be, like this health needs to be stable. And then also the fear, the anxiety, and the sleep quality all need to be there for success to come through. So you owe it to yourself. Take care of yourself. You're going to be happy that you did that. Let's move on to everything that we see here on the side, focusing on you and how you're showing up this month. Couldn't ask for a better card for this either. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, which was exactly what I featured this month. So as I said, Queen of Pentacles has typically the rabbit in it, but because we're working with an animal deck, they've chosen to feature both a deer and a fawn, or a younger sort of deer here. So what I would say for you is we definitely get the nurturing energy. Some of you want to take care of yourself. This is a month where you're deciding, I need to pamper myself. I need to do something for personal growth. And with the card upright, it's very much supported. It seems like it not only is the right thing, but you're going to see a massive return on that energetic investment. Some of you may be deciding to start a family because this is the card of motherhood, of house and home. It's also the card of birthing something. So whether it's figurative, like you're going to launch a project or a brand or a business, or it's literal, you're going to extend your family, everything about this card is saying, yes, work on those core elements of your life: house, home, finance, family. This is where you're showing up the strongest. This is where you're going to see the most growth. And this also would be, as we connect it to the Three of Pentacles, this could be personal development. So going to school, definitely supported with this as well. So I feel like you're actually poised for success in a very nice way this month. The only thing that gets in the way of this is your own fear, your own maybe lack of taking care of yourself. So that's why I've spent so much time talking about that, and not being afraid to jump into something new, because that's really how fear works. It's there to hold us back. And I want to really help you leap into all of the energy of opportunity, yes, the unknown, but also this sort of development and growth that's coming through. There could be some healing that some of you need or want to do with maternal energy in your life. This is the card of mothers. This is the card of mothers. And so if we go back to that traditional strength card, this energy can be a little difficult sometimes. So, and I say maternal, it doesn't have to be gendered just as mom. It could be dad. It could be someone that just really has that strong, hey buddy, that strong nurturing energy in your life. We'll bring Apollo up for a second. He's loving hanging out on this couch here, and I hope you guys are enjoying seeing him as well. I'll let him get back into his bed here. So speaking of nurturing and loving, so some of you may have a really strong maternal energy in your life where they feel free, sometimes too free, to say things to you. And what you can remind them of, especially if you are an adult, is that, this is your life, this is your decision. You value their opinion, but you've also thought this through. And at a certain point, enough is enough, right? So you may have to put your foot down or hold some firm boundaries between that sort of maternal energy and you, okay? That's going to make you happier and healthier, and it's also going to help you break some cycles in some of your personal relationships where people step in and test boundaries like that. All right, let's focus on your environment card here, and we have the Six of Swords. This is a beautiful Six of Swords because if you look at it, we can see that for some of you, there's been a period of challenge indicated by what we see looking like rain on this card. And now we have the rainbow at the top. I was talking in the weekend about, the Six of Swords is a beautiful card of empowerment and movement and change. It's not as passive as like the Four of Swords. You have this ability to feel like, I know that all of this is worth the journey, and it's taking me to higher ground. And with this, the question that I'm going to pose to you is, are you driving the ship or are you the passenger in the ship? So here's your traditional Six of Swords, and we see one person basically steering it, and then we see a couple people here as the passenger. I think this month you have the ability to basically dictate what it is that you want and steer the ship. And you're going to be surprised at the outcome. That's why we have that rainbow. what happens a lot of times is we get beaten down when we're in this energy too long. We start to think like, how many how many blows can I take? How many punches do I have to throw to survive this and get through this? I feel like you're now at the turning point where things start to feel better, start to get easier, and sometimes we have to have that final straw to make a decision that enough is enough. And movement is going to be key to your success this month. So some of you may be traveling for work or pleasure. That's good. Some of you may decide to move physically from one place to another. The movement, the change of environment, that sort of invigoration that happens because of that, it's going to portend good things. It's going to be a very good energy for you. So if you're willing, able, and open, I would encourage travel and also getting out of your comfort zone this month. It's going to help you out in ways that are unexpected. If you've been grieving or stressed or really ready for a breakthrough, this card is indicating that that breakthrough is at hand. So Six of Swords in the environment, change. Now we have the Ten of Wands, and it's a very unusual Ten of Wands. My only criticism in this deck is, you can see it here, wands and swords are very difficult to see the difference between. You have to look really close. Like if you look here, you can actually see the little end to the sword. And this one, you can actually see that they are branches from a tree. But aside from that, I love this deck. All right, the Ten of Wands card in reverse is saying, I'm dealing with a lot. How do I take the load off of me? This energetic or this emotional or this sort of cognitive pressure that I'm feeling. So for you, that's what you have to decide, because you're somewhere between these two things. You've worked really hard to get where you're at, but this final leg of the journey is feeling a little bit overwhelming. And so this is when it would make sense to talk to a friend. And that's actually what we would get with this center card here. The friends and family that you trust the most. Spend some time with them. Take some of that sort of energetic load and release it. How are you just sort of like blowing off steam? It's important to have creative outlets. So, reading a book, watching some TV, watching YouTube, whatever it is that you do to sort of relax a little bit, definitely make time for that, because here's the good news, Aquarius. You are going to finish what you started, and you are going to do it successfully, and people are going to like that. But you're coming through as slightly stressed or slightly distracted, and I don't want to see burnout happen for you. So you can control this, because your crowning card was Strength Upright. It's just about you saying no when you need to say no, yes when something's important, and holding firm to those decisions. That's why we got the very decisive Seven of Cups in reverse. And it's basically saying, this is what I want, the other stuff can wait. And when you have that sense of clarity, confidence, and strength, people respect it, and then you're going to be fine. You'll be able to get what you're asking for, particularly when it comes to those limits. But people may just not have expected you to have the wherewithal or the ability to sort of stand up for yourself. But you do. I see it. You know it. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that. By the way, these are both movement cards. This is such a weird illustration that it's hard to see. I'm going to pull the traditional one up as well. I love to kind of compare and contrast. That's why I work with different decks. But the Ten of Wands is also travel. The Six, this can be more for like, one can be for pleasure. This can be sort of like commuting. But you put the two together, and some of you might want to look at, is it worth it? Like, how much are you traveling? And could that help you decide like where to move? So maybe the new job that you're finding, or the person that you're dating, there's a long distance relationship. You're starting to wonder like, I want to be closer. So this is going to help you make a decision of where to go. So I definitely see movement, travel, and relocation being an element. By the way, you can see the stress associated with this. The Ten of Wands can also be how much you're carrying, not just sort of like energetically, but for those of you that do physical labor, you want to be careful, because Ten of Wands can go into the Ten of Swords. So make sure that you're not overdoing it, working too hard, carrying too much, and also making sure that you're basically, I would say, balancing out your schedule too, okay? All of that being said, this is a good card of completion, and it's saying you're moving to greener pastures, so I like that, all right? And this is quickly. That's why we got the rabbit. And, also I would say when we're looking at deer, they move quickly here as well. So the change, the growth, and the development is happening a lot faster than you might imagine. This is in hopes, fears, and opportunities. So some of you just might be afraid of what it's going to take to move. As someone who is in the process of still finding the perfect apartment, and I've had to make a couple of interim moves while I'm at the Airbnbs and whatnot, I would say the hardest part is just kind of like putting the stuff in boxes or putting it in a suitcase. But once you land in that spot, you're happy that you made the move. So don't let the energy, the fear, or the anxiety associated with it get in the way, because the actual energy of moving, it's like 2 or 3 hours, right? But it's the buildup, right? And it's the packing that might take a couple of weeks prior to that. But once you've done it, then all of this energy, it's like a big breakthrough that happens for you. So don't fear it. Just take one step at a time towards it, and it will be worth that long-term energy and that effort that you're putting into it. Just don't get in your headspace too much, okay? As we look at your outcome card, we have the Daughter of Swords or the Page of Swords, and I love that we have an owl here, indicating you know what to do. This is connected with higher knowledge. One thing that might help you get it out is to talk it out or to write it out. So one thing that I've also found really helpful in my life is sometimes I know what I want to do, and I just need to get on the phone with a friend and say, can I just talk this through with you? And a lot of times they're just holding space, and I'll ask for their insight, but they'll say, you already know what to do. And yeah, it sounds good, but you have to kind of like articulate it first to make sure. Conversely, sometimes I have a couple of great friends that are very clear on, they'll say, I like where you're going, but you want to use a different word or take some of the emotional tone out. And it's so good to get that feedback. So practice makes perfect. So write it down, speak it out, and you're going to find your way to it. A page will find the right way to communicate. Pages can find themselves in the middle. The cool thing with this is that you have so much to offer both sides. And this particular 6 to 8 week period is going to set you up as someone who has the ability to basically build a bridge. And we talked about that as I think it was your catalyst card for the weekend. If you haven't watched the 7-day forecast, take a look at it. And it was basically that ability to be the bridge. And so if you can do that this month, I feel like it's going to set you up for success. It's going to help you establish yourself as, this is why all the communication's coming through, but like someone who is able to visualize, articulate, and bring people together. So there's leadership energy, which I wouldn't always see in a page, but it's definitely there. And you can help people come together and communicate in a way that you wouldn't expect. So lean into that if you're ready to do that. This can also indicate a signing of a contract. It's also the ability to change or edit something to your liking, okay? Again, using your communication skills. All right, let's go ahead now and move into your expanded forecast. The expanded forecast includes health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these sections is multi-part and multifaceted, so I'll do my best to break it down from all the different angles. Let's take a glance at the table here and move on to your health card. And with health, I always like to disclaim that I'm helping you look at energy and opportunities, basically the metaphysical portion. Anything that's going on in your mind or in your body, you can work with a professional for that. But looking at the energy here this month, we have the card here of the stag, which is saying trust and thrive. What's interesting about this is I get the energy of wanting to put down roots. We just, interestingly enough, talked about this sort of travel energy or movement energy. What the stag card is telling you is that you're going to pick the part of your life that's important, the anchor, and then the other things are going, the amount of movement or travel that you make is based on the anchor. So for some of you, that anchor is going to be a relationship. So maybe you are going to move to a certain place for better schools or better home. You may choose to move to a different city, state, country, province to be with someone that you love, and then you might travel or commute for work. The movement in your life is going to be based on what gives you that sense of stability. So you may choose to travel more to work and home because of that, or you may decide to relocate because of that. You may decide that you're perfectly happy where you are, but the question of movement is answered by what gives you the feeling of strength, stability, and what makes you thrive. So that will help you make a decision on how much, how little, and how often you're ready or willing to travel or move. And that's what we see with this. So you're already able to make the right decision when it comes to, should I do this? Should I travel or move or commute for this? You'll be able to decide it based on one single question, which is, will this allow me to thrive? Will this bring happiness in my life? So whether it's a job, a family, or a living environment, whatever it is that you're choosing to be with, that's going to answer your question. Does this allow me to thrive? It's a good question, actually, to put in any sort of major decision, but to make you happier, which I talked about earlier, happiness actually equates wealth and health. That's going to be the deciding factor. Can I thrive? All right, let's look at the other messages with respect to your health. So we've already covered a lot of these. First of all, health is the most important thing this month, and feeling like you can thrive and grow, that's the most pivotal piece that I could look at. Your center card is one of extremes, though. So the Three of Cups is not a very moderate card. So I would say don't overdo things. Don't overwork. And we can see that here. This is stress. This is also kind of overdoing it. And this is feeling the results of that. This could be insomnia. This can be a headache. This can be confusion. So rest is important, suffice it to say. The other thing that I see here is a change could do you good when it comes to your environment. So a trip or a vacation comes through as a nice prescription for happiness and clarity of mind, because we see this movement and then we see a very clear vision here at the end. And really paying attention to house and home and making sure that it feels clean and strong and supportive to you, that's key. When it comes to emotional and any sort of physical load that you're carrying, making sure that you're not overdoing it. By and large, it's actually very easy to navigate the general health messages this month. I think stress management and sleep come through as the strongest things that you want to pay attention to, so don't neglect those, okay? Let's move on to the next portion of the expanded forecast, which is wealth. And the wealth card here is wonderful. You heard me comment on that when I was pulling the cards. Lakshmi is one of the greatest energies associated with wealth. When I used to study yoga, there's actually a mantra with the name of this goddess. So flow and prosperity is what this card is titled. And I would say the important thing for you to think about is, does this allow me to tap into my creative flow? Do I feel supported? Again, we're going back into the basic question here. Can I thrive? And are people trusting me? Are they giving me that sense of strength and energy that I would associate with this? This is the Emperor card too, or the High Priest, I would say, the Hierophant, because it's one of the divine masculine cards that's elevated. So you should be able to have a say in what's going on. You should be able to be trusted when you're working. People should not question everything that you're doing. So look at your current job, your current activities, and your current extracurricular commitments and think, do I feel that sense of being an authority, being able to be myself, not being questioned? Do I have that flow energetically so I can just be creative? And if you don't, then it's time for some change. This month, however, what's opening up to you is the ability to basically tap into things a little bit more. This is a card of putting it to paper, as I said earlier. So feel free, if you're a little bit blocked or a little bit uncertain, to just start writing things down. And you'll have a chance later to make sense of it. It's kind of like a brainstorming session when you have a whiteboard or a blackboard behind you. You just need to put it all down first, because sometimes when you try to live edit, it doesn't work. So one thing that I learned as a writer is just get it all out there, and later there is a pattern that comes together with it. One of the reasons that I love to basically do live readings or live premieres, and even as I do a live premiere, I try not to over edit, because there's this beautiful energy that comes through when you just allow yourself to be a channel. So allow yourself to be in the flow creatively, and however this comes out is exactly how it's supposed to come out for you, okay? Let's take a look at some other energy around your ability to tap into the flow and prosperity. So you should if you're willing and able to do it, work with other people, because I see group dynamics actually opening up the Three of Pentacles. So Three of Cups is the conduit to the Three of Pentacles for you. I see that you are more sort of like capable than you might give yourself credit for. There may also be a little bit of a glass ceiling where you're at, and this is causing stress. So if that's the case, you can definitely break through that, go somewhere else if you need to. Because all I see here is great group dynamics, great energy building off of each other, the ability to take things, birth them, grow them, develop them, and then I see interest in that when it's all said and done. So working in a group, writing it down, and trusting your voice, that's really what I see here. When I'm looking at general money, I like that we see development here. I think what's important for you is not to be afraid to ask for something and not be afraid to look around, because the Ten of Wands and the Six of Swords definitely are about research and researching places other than where you're at. Because if you don't know what's out there, how will you know if this is what you want, right? So definitely do your research, definitely cast a wide net, and be open to being surprised at how basically open people are to what it is that you have to offer, okay? By and large, it's really good. If you felt blocked anywhere in your life, Lakshmi is coming through to say, this is no longer something that you have to worry about. You are changing energetically, you're in a new season, and you're able to tap into something amazing. And I'm doing this right on the precipice of a new moon, right? So this is an opening for you. And I want you to plant new seeds and new ways of thinking, and that's going to be so beneficial for the days and weeks that follow, okay? I don't really have anything negative to say when it comes to your general work energy. One thing that I want to highlight before we move on to relationships is this ally in disguise. So I mentioned that we were going to talk about that earlier. This could be a Leo, by the way. There could be a really strong Leo in your life. This could also just be someone who you typically wouldn't tap for this kind of role. And I want you to kind of look around you and think, who's always been there, who's been strong, who's been supportive, and maybe who have you overlooked in the past? Because now they're coming through in a way that really kind of demands attention and could open up, again, this ally in disguise. So don't sell yourself or others short. There could be a new role, a new opportunity, a new partnership that could arise because of this ability to see things differently, which is something that we talked about when we were looking at the channeled messages. All right, let's go ahead and expand this now and take a look at love and relationships. So we have Lady Portia here saying divine order is a part of this moment in time. It says, do what you feel is right, an important lesson is unfolding. So in key relationships, you may be the one that, again, is setting the tone or moving in a different direction. And this card is basically saying, it's okay, that's what you should be doing. Sometimes this can feel lonely. There's a reason that we have two cards of traveling here, and there's a reason that we also have this ability or this need to get back into a group. So I think the important thing for you, if you're feeling a lot of stress or a lot of pressure with the one that you love the most, get the space that you need and then maybe regroup with the people that have always been there for you, the reality check, chosen family in your life, those best friends that are going to say, yeah, this is exactly what you should do, or I think you should rethink this. So what I'm seeing is getting away from the core energy of a relationship that might be causing stress, grounding yourself, and then talking to the people that you love and care about the most. And this is going to help you get a different perspective on it. Everything's happening at the right time for the right reason, even if it feels a little frustrating. And that's basically what this card is saying. Let's dig deeper and let's look at it in three different aspects. You know, I always like to look at those in a relationship already, those that are seeking a relationship in their life, and those that are single and happy. All right, if you're in an existing relationship, the most important thing that I'm seeing is third parties. This could be mothers. This could actually be two mother-in-laws for some of you. All right, not two like your mom and a mother-in-law. And so this is a lot of energy, a lot of divine feminine energy. It could be an aunt and a mom too. But basically, with these two women coming in at the center here, this can just be a lot. And what you want to remind your partner of and yourself is that it's the two of you And that other person that's coming in, they don't matter as much when it comes to, and they're not going to get in between the two of you, basically. So setting boundaries and deciding how much you're going to allow them to access you. It's not always about like a lover. This can actually be a friend, a family member, or someone in your life that feels like they have some sort of a cause or a reason to butt in. And it could be about work or finances, which makes a lot of sense because, let's face it, family's always curious about that and they always have something to say. But you basically get to choose what you want to do with your partner in your life. And as an adult, it's challenging, but it's important to stand up and stand your ground when it comes to parents and family and friends that are kind of butting in that energy. There could also be just a general question of, are we where we thought we would be? Is this still what we want to be doing? So the Three of Cups can also be just that sort of question of, how did we land where we're at? And there could be a desire to reconnect or rekindle that flame with your partner. So spend some time, talk about hopes and fears. Intimacy is important, and I always like to remind folks that it's communication, it's closeness. And one of the best things with Apollo being on the couch, he's so calm. It's also a little early in the morning because I'm doing this as a live premiere. So, but he just chills out. He's not digging in his bed. He just loves to be right by me. So partners like proximity too. They like also to know what's going on in your life. So talk to them about the hopes and fears, spend some time with them. It's not about always just talking. It's closeness. It's the quality of the time as well. Okay? Let me see what else is coming through with relationships. The other thing that I would say here as we're looking at these two distance cards on the side is some of you may be dealing with a long distance relationship. So your loved one could be traveling for work. They could be dealing with some stress, maybe a sick family member. And that's taking them a little bit away from you, and that can be stressful, understandably stressful. Even in a very strong relationship, that can be stressful. So navigating that distance. There's a great song by Tori Amos called China, and it's about sort of like being in the same room, but feeling like you're very distant as well. So some of you may be just feeling like they're not letting you in. So tell them, like, I'm here for you. There's another song by 10,000 Maniacs called Trouble Me, which is basically saying, I'm here for you. Let me in and let me be a part of this. I want to help you through it. So if that's what you need, it's just about having a conversation with your partner to basically lean on you, or that you need them and you need their advice as well. So that makes them feel like they're important. So it can actually add to the intimacy. Let me see what else is coming through for you. I think just general stress management, because this could get in the way of the relationship. I talked about the aggravation. Let me see if I still have the card handy here. Yes, okay, I do. All right, so if we look at the Nine of Wands, if you're a little bit agitated, if you're feeling overworked or sort of like burned out, we can see that sort of like perturbed look in his face. We don't want that to happen. If you're dealing with a lot of stress, the same thing can happen here. Both of you may be actually in these two different energies here because they both showed up on either side of the center. So that's the Nine of Wands and that's the Nine of Swords. And they both carry with them a decent degree of stress. So the two of you may just need to take a vacation, take a break. You might need to talk to somebody because two stressed people can't always help each other. So if that's the case, obviously you want to take care of yourself. Exercise, by the way, is a great conduit to being able to manage stress as well. So the Strength card there can indicate the value or the importance of working out and again, working out some of the frustrations in a very productive way. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that's it. The only other thing that I'm paying attention to here is, again, being caught between a couple of family members. Some of you may also have a little bit of a maturity gap. It doesn't necessarily have to be age. It could just be sort of like your actual maturity. One person here is very caring and nurturing. One just speaks up a lot. And so there's maybe a desire for your partner to listen to you more, and you can talk to them about that as well. Overall, everything seems manageable. It's mostly just the stress management that's coming through loud and clear for existing relationships. Let's move on to those of you that are seeking out love right now. I have to say that you need to let the dust settle from what I can see. Some of you are too busy when I look at the environment. The Six of Swords is showing that it's hard for you to be there in the way that your partner may need you to be there. The 10 of Wands shows me that you're carrying a heavy load energetically. The 9 of Wands shows me that you're finishing something up as well. We have maybe not enough sleep here going through. So I think the most important thing, first and foremost, is to take care of yourself. Once you've done that, you actually have a few different energies that are coming through. I mean, we could read each of these as one of the 3 cups here. So you have someone who is very strong and is an equal match to you. We have someone that's ready to settle down, and we have someone that is wanting to do things, is kind of like playful and adventurous. So you have a lot of options coming forth, but it feels like it's important for you to really sit with yourself for a minute and think, what do I want? Why do I want the relationship? Is it distraction? Is it comfort? Or am I really ready to settle down and settle in with somebody? The center card seems to indicate, for those of you that are single and looking, it's really just about seeing what's out there. So give yourself the time and the opportunity to do just that. Let me take a drink, and then we're going to look at those of you that are single and happy. So if you're single and happy, it's a good time to be single and happy. What I actually see here is development when it comes to work. I'm not seeing a big influx of new people in your life. I do think that you'll work very well in groups with others, as we talked about. And if you're feeling stuck, it's still very good to partner up with people, particularly professionally. I think that's going to be advantageous. But I think that the one thing that those of you that are single and happy might want to do is maybe you're looking at buying a new home. Maybe you're looking at traveling. Maybe you're going to spend some time writing, or again, maybe you're going to talk through some situations in your life. But it's all about personal growth this month. And this can also be like writing a curriculum or creating something. But it feels to me like it's a very productive period for you. And when you're ready, by the way, this is a curriculum for sure, the 3 of Pentacles. When you're ready to share something with other people, they are more than open and ready to receive that. So I think this could be one of the most productive months that you might have had this entire year. So if you're not focused solely on a relationship, you can get a lot of work done. Just don't let yourself fall into this sort of cycle of overwork and stress. That's the only sort of thing that I would say. But other than that, it's a very great time for you just to be focusing on personal development. Now let's move on to your destiny card here. And your destiny card is the guardian angel, and it's reversed. So some of you may be feeling like, what do I do next? Universe, just show me what to do. Or you're wondering, like, how do I connect with my guides? Or why isn't everything black and white? So the guardian angel is coming through to say, I've been with you the whole time. I'm helping you out. Be open to different forms of communication. What do I mean by this? It's not always going to be a clairvoyant vision or a clairaudient message whispered in your ears. I run into intuition all the time, when I'm outside, there are certain nature totems that I'll run into that I can associate with positivity or messages. Like whenever I see the hummingbird coming through, the universe is saying, look up, be positive, it's going to work out. When I see a ladybug, it means you're going to have the best day and the best luck ever. Something amazing is going to happen. Expect some good news. And when I see things like crows, or ravens, like I did for you, it usually means that there is a transition, there is a message from the other side. They want me to pay attention to a cyclical change that I need to make or break, and I need to dig a little deeper. But so for me, nature is a big part of communication. It can also be a license plate. It can be a lyric. It can be of a song that you're connecting with. It can also be the words that someone that you loved would say coming out of someone else's mouth. So you could be at the supermarket, you could be listening to something on the radio, and you hear a phrase that only your loved one would say. That's them finding the right channel, the right person to say that to you. The universe works in mysterious ways when it comes to intuition. It doesn't have to just come through one vehicle. So I use cards, I use dreams, I use totems, and I just listen. I'm constantly listening and looking, and it's everywhere, okay? So your guides are everywhere, and they're reminding you of that. Be open to the different ways that they speak to you. And that's the best piece of advice I can give you for that Destiny card. The other thing with this one is to protect what matters most in your life. That is going to be also what helps you make big decisions. What's going to help me thrive? What's going to help me feel very grounded and very supported? Okay, so let's take a look again at our overarching organization today. We're going to move now into big idea, blessings and blocks, and then we'll move into some of the other parts of today's reading. All right, let's take a look now at the big idea. This is one message that's going to help you really focus on how to make the most of this month. What's it all about? So let's take a look at this. We have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. And one of the things that I love about this card is it actually is showing that this is not the end, it's a beginning. A lot of times in the traditional illustration, we have someone holding on really closely to a coin or a pentacle, and it feels like if I let this go, this is all that there is. No. Typically what the Four of Pentacles indicates is that something has served its higher purpose. It could be a relationship that's about to end. It could be a job that's already over. It could be a phase of your life where someone or something has left. And now there's this feeling or this initial fear that there's a lack or that this is it. So rather than contracting, we want to open up the heart space. We want to open up to new opportunities, and we want to think not just like, now what, but it's more sort of like an exciting, so now what? What can I do instead of this? What can I build upon this? So think of the Four Pentacles as the four corners of a foundation, and you're just going to start putting new things on top of it, rather than holding on to what was. So let go of the lens of fear or nostalgia. Let the limiting thoughts fade away and instead start to entertain the possibility. It's all interconnected, it's all foundational, and that's really what this card is saying. If we were to look at the traditional card, which I'll pull up here for a moment, it's basically holding on to something that you really loved and cared about, but what I'm reminding you of is kind of like trying new flavors. Just because you love chocolate or vanilla or strawberry, if you never try something else, if you only hold on to that one thing, you're going to miss so many exciting opportunities and experiences out there. So just like you have to experiment with your taste buds, you have to do the same thing in real life with new opportunities. And here's the traditional illustration. It really tells a beautiful story, which is why I like to use this as well. So that we can see the person putting their feet on the coins, holding this coin, and then thinking about it. It's too much energy associated with, I have to have this, it has to be this, I'm only this. So I want you to think bigger and cast a wider net, and to realize that if something's exiting or leaving your life, it's so that something else can come in. Okay? And that, my friends, is your big idea. This is a time of expansion, not a time of contraction, rather. We're going to now move on to blessings and blocks. Just like it sounds, we're going to be looking at things that can elevate or things that could create a little bit of friction in your life. So let's go ahead and pull the two cards and see what the messages are. We have the Daughter of Wands for the blessing, and we have the Five of Cups in reverse for the block. So let's talk about these. All right, so for the blessing, pages are very good at picking up on new ideas or developmental sort of energies here. So we had the Page of Swords in the outcome, and now we have the Page of Wands here for the blessing. So this is saying that incoming ideas and the ability to sort of brainstorm, which is also a part of this card, are stronger now than they have been in several months. So lean into that. If you get a good idea, don't just put it on the back burner. Don't dismiss it as just, a crazy thought. It has value. It has merit. And what you really want to do is figure out, what am I going to do about it? So there's some exciting opportunities coming your way. Boldly explore and go into those opportunities and see where they could lead. We have the infinity symbol here, which is also showing that this has the ability to stick. There's this opportunity that's awaiting you that could really be a part of a new process, which is a nice segue from that Four of Pentacles that we just talked about. So I see something new that's brewing. It could be a thought. It could be an opportunity on the horizon. It's just asking you, what are you going to do about it? Are you ready to engage with that? Here's what could block you from really stepping into that. It's feeling like sometimes there's optics in this card, actually. The Five of Cups, there was a really beautiful one that I pulled on the weekend from the True Heart Intuitive deck that showed all these sort of windows looking in, but you still always miss the 2 cups in the background with the 5 of cups. So what we really want to do is shift the perspective around here and understand that, yes, we've all been through a lot of challenges over the past few years, not just the past few weeks or months, but there is a silver lining to this. So this is making sure that you look at the people that have been there, that have had your back, look at how all of these opportunities have shaped you into being a stronger person, and to look at what you can control. Because you can either cry over the spilled milk, or you can celebrate the fact that there were still a few things that were left standing. And that's where the energy needs to go. What can I control? Who has been there for me? And what am I going to do with these positive energies that have always been the sort of like keystone in my life, the grounding, because it's there for you. And once you focus on what you do have, then you can start to do something really amazing with the new energies that want to present themselves. Okay? Let's focus now on, I'm just going to do a reader's choice today. Normally it would be viewers and readers, but since it's a live premiere, we're going to do a reader's choice. As I look at the energy on the table, I think that the one thing that I want to focus on for you is how to expand, because I want to take you further away from that 4 of Pentacles, which is that feeling like you can't expand. And then we see all this lovely expansion energy through the 3 of Pentacles and the 3 of Cups. So what can you do to really make a splash and see some expansion when it comes to your relationships or your career? So how can Aquarius find its ability to expand or leverage its ability to expand? And it's through change. All right, so we have the Death card coming through. The Death card is reversed, which is saying that for many of you, there are obvious areas of stagnation in your life right now. Whether it's work or love or personal development, the important thing for you to do is to basically look at this and say, that's my priority this month. I'm not going to push it under the rug one more month, one more minute. I'm going to focus right here, right now on changing it up and really trying something that may put me way outside of my comfort zone, right? This is at its core just transformation. It's interesting that we see the bones on this too. This is also about getting to the basics, back to basics, and really seeing like, how am I going to build this up? What am I going to do? So I think for some of you, it could just be, we talked about the ability to kind of sketch things out or write things out, putting together a plan and deciding these are the key tenets to that. 3 or 4 things that I'm going to focus on the most and make some change. And then the other thing here is I mentioned that the 4 of Pentacles comes through when something has served its higher purpose. You are more than whatever it is that you were holding on to. You're more than a relationship status on a social media network. You're more than a title that you would put on LinkedIn. You're more than what people may see you wearing or what zip code you live in. All of these things, they're just decoration. You're more than that. So decide what the next chapter of your life is going to look like. Look at the next thing that you want to develop. And this is when the expansion happens pretty quickly. Okay? But you have to feel it and you have to be willing to try this new you on. All right? Now we're going to move on to the sun, rising, and moon sign messages. And basically, you can watch all of my readings for these plus, Venus and other aspects of your chart. But I like to fine tune it a little bit to really give you messages on these 3. So let's shuffle the cards, grab those messages, and then I'll break them down for all of you. Sun, rising, and moon. And we got the moon for the moon, which is really cool. We have the 6 of Pentacles coming through for Aquarius sun. It is reversed, but ultimately the 6 of Pentacles is the core card that I look for to indicate, do I have enough? Will I be okay? What it basically indicates is the need for balance in your life. And so there are certain areas where you're going to have to be more discerning and say, I can only do this much, or I choose to do this and I'm going to put that on the back burner. So as long as you are decisive, strong, and basically hold your ground, you'll be fine with this. The only areas where this kind of comes into conflict could be if there's someone in your life that's constantly trying to push for more, or if you're trying to set new boundaries that didn't exist previously, this could be a little bit challenging. But overall, I think that if you're willing to make those decisions, you can accomplish everything that you want. The cool thing that's different from the Six of Pentacles versus like the Two of Pentacles is you can pretty much have everything that you want. It's just not necessarily in the timing that you want, or you got to bring in some additional resources to get it done. Whereas the Two of Pentacles really tries to make you decide between one thing or another. So balance out your time and energy, focus on what's important. Prioritization is everything. If you can do that, you're going to be fine. And again, being picky and discerning is actually going to help you. You're going to be seen as stronger, again, more decisive, more of a leader, and people are going to tend to take less advantage of you, which is the whole goal here. You want to be seen as what we saw here in the crowning position, that strength card. Okay? So you've got what it takes, but you have to make some decisions and some prioritization. Once you've done that, everything falls into place. Moving from the sun to the rising messages, this is where the most change and movement is happening. So we've got the Tower reversed. Those of you that watch my channel frequently know that I am not afraid of the Tower in reverse. The Tower in reverse is basically an opportunity for you to change course and be a part of the change. So here's the cool thing. You already know that something has to be done. In fact, in many times and many cases when the Tower card shows up reversed, you're already in the middle of it. The Tower reverse says, however, that you get to be an active participant. So let's say like you're in a company, there's been a merger. As it's happening, before it happens, you go and talk to your boss and say, I know that changes are happening. This is something that I'd love to take part in. Like maybe it's a change in your role. Maybe you want to help research and see what you can do to, help them out or whatever. But you're basically saying, I'm cool with the change. I want to be a part of it. There could be a part of your life where you know that you're just tired of seeing something repeat and you think to yourself, all right, I'm going to research this. I'm going to explore this path. I'm not going to just sit on the sidelines and wait for something to come to me. So it's a very active card, and it's one where you feel empowered because maybe the question of change isn't even something that you can control. It's more like, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to react to it? And that's where the power exists for you. And the cool thing with this is that there is a chance for coming out of this better than you thought, like better than even when you started. And it's because you are open and willing to accept, explore, and manage change. And that's where the power exists for you. And when we're looking at rising and ascendant in particular, it's also saying in the areas of work and how you're sort of organizing your social spheres, like your extracurricular activity and all of that, this is where some of the change needs to happen. People like you because you are able to change and agitate and move things in a way that other people can't. So again, embracing that, like I said, this is a month to make a splash. More so here for the ascendant and for the rising than anybody else. So embrace that, and this brings you into your power this month, okay? Moving from the rising to the moon, we have the moon in reverse, which is saying, be unafraid, be willing to look at things from a new perspective, and understand that once you overcome your fears, like the sky is the limit. This is also a highly intuitive and creative card. So for you, not holding back that creativity, not doubting your intuition, that's going to be important. When it comes to relationships this month, for all my moon signs right now, I think it's important for you to really focus on the trust. So if you can't trust who you're with or who you're working for or who you're spending time and energy around, that's what needs to change, because that's not allowing you to thrive and feel safe. And so those are the main messages there for sun, rising, and moon. Overall, I like what I see when we look at these three cards, because we see the ability to find balance and create priorities in your life, the ability to thrive even when change is happening, and the ability to really tap into your intuition and your creative side, and to make sure that if there is anything in your life that doesn't make you feel safe or isn't allowing you to thrive, that this is the month to resolve that as well, okay? So let's get into the final portion of our reading. I always like to wrap things up with a meditation. There's three parts to this though. We're going to meditate, we're going to listen to a sound bath, and then I pull a final card at the very end. That final card can be any question that you have in your mind that I haven't already had a chance to answer. So scribble that down while I talk about a couple things, and then we'll get into the meditation. Again, I'd like to encourage everybody to subscribe and especially opt into notifications. For 2 weeks here, I'm going to be using live premieres just because of my spotty internet. So to make sure that you get the notification of that live premiere, you need to subscribe and hit the bell too. It also helps the channel grow, so it's win-win, right? Follow me on social media for additional reminders. That way, again, you'll have a second chance to make sure that you don't miss something. And remember that I don't use DMs or offer private readings. And if you want to participate in the chat here and give a super chat, super sticker, or gift a membership, all of that is something that you can do right here and right now. And again, it's optional, but it helps the channel grow. As we get ready for the meditation, let's just take a quick look at the cards here. One thing that I see as a common thread is we have movement in the environment, we have change coming through multiple times here, and there's questions of sort of like, what do I focus on? What I love about this, though, is we see that there are hidden allies, there's this flow of prosperity, and that's really what I want to focus on, is the energy here that we see with Lakshmi. So this basically says flow of prosperity, and it imagines, or it reminds you to imagine that you're at the center of this creative flow. So let's go back in time and space. See the beginning of our solar system. See yourself in the energy of the newborn star that we call the sun, and imagine that you have the ability to set out this roadmap. And just like the sun was able to create planets and moons and the asteroid belt and all of this stuff around it, basically just by its gravitational force, know that by simply deciding, by simply envisioning something, you can do the same in your own life. So rather than looking at our sort of solar system and trying to recreate all of that, just kind of put yourself in the center of a newborn star. And you can feel this ability to have an auric field around you that is bright and light. It's in all dimensions, this beautiful circular energy filled with golden and pure energy. So now that you are in the center of the star, of the sun, I want you to now fixate on something in your life that you want to create order in. Maybe there is movement and change in your relationships and you want to make that a little bit cleaner or tidier. Maybe you're trying to manifest something in your finances and you want to start to see things come together. Rather than looking at what hasn't worked or what isn't, focus instead on what you see and imagine that it is being filled with this beautiful golden light. Everything that you see is suffused or filled with light. And you start to see wherever something's missing, the light comes in and fills in the gaps. So start to paint a picture and see it even in a timeline from here to whatever it is that you're trying to do in the future. See everything starting to be painted and filled in with golden light. And imagine that as you are dreaming it, you're actually creating these moments in time, and tell the universe now, I'm just ready to see the synchronicities. Show me them today, show me them tomorrow. Allow me to be open and willing and ready to not doubt them. Now spread out your arms as you're doing this and see that beneath them, there are these beautiful feathering energies that are starting to gather that create kind of like a thunderbird. You see these wonderful wings that are spreading out beneath your arms. Imagine now that you could start to glide across this valley of creation that you've created for all of your future states, the energies that you're trying to bring forth, and just allow it to be easy sailing. See yourself gliding into the future and feel this sense of ease, of possibility, of expansion. Bless all of this with golden light, golden energy, and in your head, know that there's this mantra that's coming through. I'm able to see it, I'm able to do it, I'm able to be it. So see it, do it, be it. This is really what you're going to be focusing on, but you have to see it and believe it first. So just allow yourself to glide over this and feel that it's going to be easy, it's going to be okay. And as you take that nice final landing, I just want you to look back and see how far you've come and see what's ahead of you, and just relax as I play the singing bowl. Okay? Take a few deep breaths, keep your eyes closed, and I'll be right back. Take your hands, rub them together, place your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that, and feel that energy of the sun existing within your heart. With each beat that it takes, it continues to move the golden energy within the core of your being. Everything that you touch, every person that you talk to, everything in your life today that you pay attention to, you're going to share that golden light of creation, and you're going to bring yourself one step closer to accomplishing that vision. Focus now on whatever final question you might have for me, and simply allow that to sit in your head for a moment as I pull the card, and we'll see what the final message is. And we have the beautiful Ace of Wands here, which is an affirmative card. This is a yes to a yes/no. And this is a start. An Ace of Wands begins with an intention, and it requires attention, actually. So intention and attention. The attention here would be that you have to actually water, feed, or put energy into this. The intention is, what is it you want to do? So set a goal, and every single day, one step closer. You want to take one step closer towards completing that. So it can be as simple as picking up a phone and talking to someone. It could be Googling something and getting the information and resources in place. It could be about sending out an application. Whatever it is, each and every day you're going to be doing one step towards that goal. And as long as you're taking a step towards that, you're headed in the right direction. This is also a very opening energy, which is saying you are open to new ideas, you're open to new developments and new sort of courses of action. Don't close something off before you've had a chance to see where it might lead. And it is also saying that things can happen within a day, a week, or a month. It's pretty fast. We're going to start to see growth. Remember what we talked about with the Queen of Pentacles earlier. Things can actually start to happen in a timeline that was unexpected. So by and large, this is a very, very positive card to pull here, and it's a great way to wrap up today's reading. Before we finish, again, I'd like to remind you to please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know that you enjoyed this today. Join me across social media as well. I would love to have you there. And thank you in advance for everybody who has given a super sticker or super chat. Since this is a live premiere, I will have already thanked you in real time, but I also want to give everybody just a big thanks and a big virtual hug for showing up today. It means a lot, and I'm really appreciative of your support. While I kind of changed my background a few times, like I said, I'm not yet in my final apartment, so thank you for being patient as I'm navigating through internet issues and things like that. I'm still here, we're still getting all of this done, and I really appreciate your support. All right, I will see you again later this week on Thursday and Friday. Until then, I want to wish you much love, much support, and just, again, thank you for being present today. I appreciate that you're working on yourself and that you've spent some time this morning or this evening with me. Until I see you again, take care.